You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. If you'd like to learn more about the Bearded Theologians, you can go online at beardedtheologians.com, where we have past podcasts, blogs, and a couple items for sale. So check us out, beardedtheologians.com. Thank you for listening, and enjoy this week's show.
You're listening outside of my window.
No, well, that was my fan going on. With that in mind, you're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, who are suffering from severe ADD today. I am your host, Matt Franks.
Can we try that again? Good Lord.
All right, here we go. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Matt Franks
And Zach Bechtold.
So this week on the podcast, we thought it would be fun since Friday, September the 9th, is International Buy a Priest a Beer Day, or however you want to say it. We thought we'd talk about that for some reason because we were just needing something to talk about today. So Zach, go at it.
Well, honestly, we're leading into, yes, it's the beginning of September, but October's on its way. And pastor appreciation is always a topic for us to talk about leading into that. But today is one of those days that's kind of, just an internet thing of celebrate the spiritual leader in your life and appreciate them in the ways that you can. And in particular, September 9th tends to be Buy Your Priest a Beer Day. And I always like to use today or that day as an introductory, not an introductory, but as a way to introduce people into how they can appreciate their pastor. And we do that in a lot of ways. And we talk about the many ways that we do that during October. But one of the simplest ways that you can do and appreciate your spiritual leader, whether it's your priest, a pastor, a clergy person, all of the things that we call ourselves in the various traditions that we have. Rectors, that's one, right? Monsingers, parsons.
Right.
The right reverends.
Yes.
But it for me personally, beer is a way that really breaks down walls between me and people, because it reminds one, I think sitting at a table and having a drink or a meal in general, regardless of what's in the glass or on the plate, is sacred. But the conversations that happen around sitting at a bar, having a pint, really remind everybody that's involved that we're all human, that we all have our things, and that we all have our joys and our struggles and everything in between. And for me, there's something sacred when I can sit down with a church member and be human, be a person in the midst of being their pastor. And today is one of those days, or Buy Your Priest a Beer Day is one of those days that reminds me of that. One, that I'm human, but two, to remind my folks, especially in a new appointment, hey, I'm human. I enjoy these things too, and I'd really like to enjoy them with you.
So it's interesting. I saw, looking through some blogs, one of the comments about this holiday or holy day, however you want to look at it.
I say it was a holy day.
Well, that was the case of this one blogger. The Catholic gentleman talked about how really the roots of it was to take your priest out to get to know them, like take them out for a beer to get to know them. And I know for like me, both of us are in new appointments this year, and like finding that third space for us is sometimes difficult because we don't know where to go. We don't know where to, people frequent, like, so it takes process learning that. And what a better way of doing that than inviting your pastor out and say, hey, why don't you come to lunch with me? Why don't you, let's go grab a pint or grab some coffee. For me lately, it's been coffee or tea, these last couple of days with my congestion. But, I always find those conversations, like you said, it breaks down those walls. It allows like that normalcy of getting to know the person a lot better. I would much rather do that with my congregation than try to have something that was planned and not
Mhm.
so stressful about getting it all together, other than just like, hey, let's go have a drink, or let's go have a coffee, or let's like I've started doing that a lot more lately, of saying, hey, I'm gonna be here. Most people know that I'm at Crowfoot Valley Coffee Monday through Thursday, from really until I drop Laura
Wow.
off until about 9.
Did you just get a free coffee for that plug?
I wish. But as I'm wearing my Cabin Boys Brewery hat, which I will tag them in this video.
Of course.
I think that that's the deal, is like, how often do you get to know do you make space? Like, I think that's a great question. And, like, I know us as like I would say as a pastor, invite me in,
Mhm.
like force me to sit down with my calendar and say, let's actually get
Yeah,
together.
let's
I
find the
will
time and
do
space.
that, especially as an introvert. Like, that's scary as hell, but I would much rather do that than anything else, or like that assumption that just because I don't come to your places or spaces or ask you to have lunch doesn't mean that I don't want to. It just means that, like, it's just not something I think about. But if
Sure.
someone stops me and corners me, I will schedule a time.
Yeah. Well, and it does. It not only breaks down just the personal walls that we build up as clergy, because that's a real thing, especially as we move around. Um, but it helps when we meet in our offices in the church. There's often an agenda, and even in these spaces, there can be, but we get through that really quickly. When somebody emails and says, "Hey, I need to meet with you," or comes up after church on Sunday and says, "Hey, do you have time tomorrow? I'm going to swing by the office." There's always at least for me, a large bit of anxiety that surrounds that of
Mhm.
what are we talking
Yes.
about, right? What did I say in worship? What's happened this week? What's going on? But when somebody says, "Hey, let's go grab lunch. Let's go grab a beer. Let's go grab coffee," I don't that anxiety's not there. Those walls are already broken down, and I'm less guarded going into that meeting, good, bad, right, or wrong. Um, but there's less of a perceived or unspoken agenda in those settings, and we get to know each other better and more authentically, and truly quicker when those things aren't present. And so that's what I see today as truly a holy day, as a day of support, as a day of celebration, but also a day to remember that we're us and people, and we as clergy and as church people need those authentic engagements also. And that's what makes us stronger in our faith, or helps make us stronger in our faith. It helps make our churches stronger in our community when we can just be present. And people take notice of that. People take notice of um, how your church is available and present in the community, even if it's little ways like this.
Yeah, and I think that that's key, is it's being an unanxious presence, but yet,
Hmm.
like you said, I definitely, like, man, when someone says they want to meet with me in my office, I'm always like, oh man, what did I do
Yeah.
wrong?
What now? Yep.
Like, what's going on? Or sometimes I already know, like, oh, man, I just don't want to. But man, there is something about it when you invite me to a meal, or just a coffee or whatever, and I I feel a little bit better, and I don't know, it's just one of those things. You know, definitely, want to encourage you to do that. If you're a layperson, you have a pastor, find a way to show your appreciation to them. In this day and age, it's definitely something that it would be much appreciated, much needed. Um, as we're entering into the season of, I don't like post COVID. I just like COVID plus.
COVID plus.
We're having to learn how to navigate this new normal, and it's just different and it's harder. And
Hmm.
having that support from our congregations definitely makes a difference. And I think that that's key,
Hmm.
not only to pastor longevity, but pastor mental health and pastor and congregational health as well. I mean, you know, and so I encourage you to do that. Zach, you got
Yeah.
anything else?
Yeah, knowing that, sitting and having a beer with your spiritual leader, your pastor, your priest, whomever it is, may not be your thing, for a variety of reasons. We respect that. Take them fishing. Invite them to the things that you enjoy and that are gifts for you. In all of the places, right? And just be present. That's really the message here today, is how do we be present with one another? And if you go to have a beer today, do it responsibly, and do it authentically.
So with that in mind, you're listening to the Bearded Theologians. You can find all of our stuff on our website at beardedtheologians.com. So with that in mind, I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold. Thanks for checking us out.
Guys, I want you to subscribe and like this video and push that thumbs up.
Thank you for listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all social media outlets. You can check out old episodes and more information at beardedtheologians.com. Thanks for checking us out.